Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times, in these little books right here, where you can get that, my funny, silly merchandise, everything. Hit that link tree, go find it. I've got some good t-shirts. Not your typical groupie t-shirts either. Because, I'm just not typical. The 80s ladies never were we, ladies? All right, and speaking of the 80s ladies, thank you to the family here, to all the awesome other 80s ladies that I'm meeting here that are just coming out and having a good time and reminiscing and telling me your stories, to the musicians, the families of musicians, to everybody here from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. I absolutely love the family we've created here. Whether you're talking or not, just sitting at the table, that's okay. I absolutely am appreciative of every single person that is a part of this channel, this family that has helped me build it. So thank you so much, truly. You all mean the world to me. And a lot of things that mean the world to me, rock and roll, my love for art history, for auctions, all that stuff. So we're going to be getting into the auction world today because I'm back on Sotheby's. And there's a lot of really cool, this is a really mixed auction that you can buy some stuff now. Some stuff is decently affordable, but some of it kind of makes me wonder. I really have to call my home insurance people and see what my Backstage Pass collection is actually worth, because there's some stuff on here I'm like, whoa, hold on, I have some of this. So today we're going to be getting into some more rock auctions, and everything I'm looking at, you guys know I like to kind of just do on the fly for a real reaction, for a real commentary, because I don't want to rehearse anything. I just sit down, press record, and go. So thank you guys for actually really enjoying it. And all right, we're going to finish up the little zigzag Bloody Mary. I like to try the canned stuff to see how it is. And this is actually really good. I'd like a little more spice, but it's got a good, decent amount of spice. I'm trying to clear up my sinuses. Still got the fucking COVID. Last test I took was still positive. So yeah, I'm going to see what it is later today. Better be fucking gone. Tell you, I was just as pissed off as a Catholic girl after a fucking prom. Seeing a positive sign. Fuck that. All right. So everybody grab your positive signs. Kick up your feet and let's have a little cocktails and auction tales. Cheers, big ears. So good. Oh, I love a good Bloody Mary. Like I said, has a really good Bloody Mary base mix. The vodka is very smooth in it. Nice and spicy. Like I said, I can handle a little bit more spice, but super good. And sorry again for my voice. I'm still stuffed up. Still a little sick. Still trying to get the ears to pop. That's the most annoying thing about it. So, okay, we are going to start. Now, this is something I'm really kind of surprised to see in this rock auction. And a lot of this is going to be concert posters, concert memorabilia, and stuff like that. This is, like I said, this is why I need to get my Backstage Pass collection evaluated, because there's a lot of signatures, like Michael Hutchence on the NXS ones. There's Metallica ones. There's definitely, Vinnie Paul's own handwriting, stuff like that. And I wonder if having my provenance behind it, because this is going to sound like I'm an asshole, but it's just a fact that would be that would be figured into an auction price on my stuff, because there is rock and roll history behind it with someone who is part of rock and roll history. So it makes me wonder what the actual value would be. I know a couple of the passes are like $1,500 per pass, but without a signature, without the code, without the ownership provenance of it. So yeah, all first-hand owner stuff. But okay, so like I said, this one actually really kind of surprises me, and there's several of these in the auction, and they're kind of on the lower end. These are the Black Flag concert posters, concert flyers. You know, we all had them growing up in the 80s. We'd rip them off telephone poles or at the gig, put them up on our walls with the other posters we got out of the Metal Edge and the Rip magazine. But it's really crazy to see something that was from our generation of music up on the auction block as kind of an antique. Vintage. It's like vintage Black Flag concert flyer. Do not be calling my generation vintage. We are not vintage yet. Not till we're 12 feet under. And speaking of 12 feet under, we're going to talk about Jimi Hendrix again. This is a complete set of Seville Theater concert programs. So right here, these little guys. And for these times, these were very specific artists that designed this stuff, that made it. And it's not just telling about the era of the music and the person that was, you know, one of the great guitar players in the history of rock and roll, but the artistry and everything, and who it is that made these posters helps up the price. Woo. So these are $15,000. Right here, this little collection. $15,000. Because you will never get them again. You will not get any more Jimi Hendrix concert programs or anything like that, because hasn't been a concert since 1970, you know. So these are things that are going to be rare, and the cost will be driven up. What can drive the price down is if, so this gets a little publicity, people are like, wait a minute, I've got programs from that show too. So all of a sudden, an influx of all these programs, like 100 more, come out on the market when we see only 10. So that could drive the price down a little bit if people see this and be like, wait a minute, I've got this. I've got the exact ones or other ones. So how much the market is inundated with that particular item can really fluctuate the market for it. And really it comes down to what the consumer is, the person who buys it, is willing to pay for it. You could buy it right now for $15,000, or you can put it in the auction and see if it does get $15,000 or more. So, and speaking of or more, the one right next to it, The Who. Now, when you look at the Jimi Hendrix posters, they were more elaborate. There was artist work. It was just an amazing piece of artwork on top of being a concert program for Jimi Hendrix. As compared to this, The Who. Very basic, very explanatory. One of their very earliest shows is The Who before they really went on the world tour. I believe this was from the 60s, late 60s, mid 60s maybe. So I'm sorry, I'm also looking at it on the my tablet here. So this just basic, but the colors are still fucking amazing. It does have the little rip at the corner showing that it could have been in the venue. It could have been on someone's wall. It could have been ripped off, you know, a telephone pole. But more than likely, this was from the venue. So this little plain old poster with the colors that are still bright as fuck, like it was printed yesterday, $18,000. And this is all in US dollars. So then we have some more Black Flag ones, which that first Black Flag one was $950. So we're looking at the difference between, you know, the iconic of The Who and Jimi Hendrix, which you won't get these anymore, except for The Who you will, as compared to Black Flag. Now, Black Flag, they were a huge band in my time. Henry Rollins. They were very different. They were very innovative. They were totally punk, all the way on that kind of hardcore skater punk movement, stuff like that. But they're still just not as valuable because there are a ton of Black Flag flyers out there. So these two are $1,400 and $1,100. Not much. Something we could all probably buy with our Visa cards, you know? And then you have stuff like, there's several of these throughout this auction. This is a Mick Jagger print with the original vintage slide. Now, the slide, you could put it, you know, obviously projector and stuff, and it puts up on the... But with this, now I'm surprised this isn't slated. You could buy it right now for $5,000. This original picture, we haven't seen this picture much, but I'm wondering if you bought this particular slide, would this be considered the negative and you own all the negative rights so that you could commercially sell this picture? Or if anybody wanted to use it, they would have to pay you a royalty. So I wonder if that's going, because for $5,000, I don't think so. I think that would go a little more like, there was a guy on the Antiques Roadshow who was showing pictures that he took of when JFK was in Dallas and the plane flight back and LBJ was being sworn, and it's one of the most iconic pictures in the history of this country. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis is just sitting there in her pink suit, just in total shock. And the new president's being sworn in with the new first lady next, and everything is changing. So the guy who actually took this picture, who had never got a credit, went on Antiques Roadshow several years ago. And I believe that was worth maybe $50,000 with the rights to it, so that if anybody used it, that person who bought it. So this may be right on par. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure that JFK picture's worth a hell of a lot more now. Probably at least double. So with these, like I said, there's several of these slides kind of like this throughout the auction, and I'll put the link to the auction down in the description. Now, there's several pictures of Deborah Harry. The first one by Fernando Natalici on the set of Unmade Beds. Really great picture right here. Deborah Harry, come on, she was one of the most iconic women in rock and fucking roll history. Absolutely amazing. My generation, we all grew up with Heart of Glass, Rapture, the white woman rap. But just an amazing artist in her own right. So this picture of her sitting on the chair, we love this picture. This is how we will forever picture Deborah Harry. About $2,200, which is a pretty decent amount for a picture that is unsigned. So let's see here. Then we have stuff like this. The Andy Warhol, Keith Haring, Jean-Michel Basquiat record covered art of four of really biggest artists at the time that came out of New York City in this whole genre. Like Madonna was friends with Basquiat and old roommates, and you know, I mean, just Keith Haring, all these big iconic artists that came out in the 70s and 80s out of New York City. We all know the Banana art cover. Oddly enough, this is only $850. So, because they are rare. A lot of these album covers did not make it. And then we go to this one. This Beatles Swedish concert tour poster. Again, one of the original, very early Beatles tours. Very much, you know, we're not going to see this hardly at all. A lot of these concert posters, 99% of them did not survive. So that 1% that could have survived really won't, I don't think would affect the value. And this isn't like the big artwork like we see with the Jefferson Airplane and that real Haight-Ashbury kind of colorful, Grateful Dead, groovy rock posters from the 60s. Just plain rock poster. $35,000. Yep. Sure is. $35,000 for that puppy. Okay, now this is another one that I question right here. The Gunter Zint. He is a photographer of this picture of Jimi Hendrix at the Star Club and the film negatives. Now, when you own the negatives, then you do own the right to that picture. So when the author is handing over the negatives, then you do own the rights to those pictures. Even the guy, once you buy them, even the guy who took the picture doesn't have the rights to earn any more off of this picture with the negatives. So this is only $850. Again, another kind of iconic Jimi Hendrix picture. It does not say outside of the Star Club when it was taken, but I'm sure all the provenance will be with it when you buy it. So if somebody wants to own the negatives, the rights to this picture. Jimi Hendrix never goes out of style. $850 right there. Then we have this one right next to it, the Led Zeppelin print with original vintage slide, which I do think might be the negative for these. So you might own the negative. Now this one is $5,000. So I think with the slide you could probably do a lot more than you could the actual Gen X. We all know how with the slide, with the negatives look like when we published or got our film developed and everything. So it's the actual film that's in the camera and not the pictures printed from them. So with this Led Zeppelin print side, and this is another iconic, we all know, probably haven't seen this picture very much, but we all know this picture. Whether we've seen this picture or not, we all know it because Led Zeppelin. It's just going to be iconic. And speaking of iconic, here we go. Another band that started out in the 70s, The Clash. Really cool concert poster right here. One of their album covers talking about everybody who's playing with them, where they're playing. Now this says November 73. I believe November 73 right there, The Clash. $9,000 for this poster. Nothing elaborate, but so The Clash, so defining of that era in punk rock music. And the one next to it, this one. Never Mind the Bollocks, Sex Pistols promotional poster. Not too many of these are going to be out there, I don't think. And maybe there are. Maybe there were a bunch in Vivian Westward's, which we'll get back to her because that auction happened. But this one, only $1,000, even though the Sex Pistols were way more out there iconic than The Clash was. You know, it's just like Led Zeppelin versus The Who. Still two giant bands of their generation and genre, but The Who is kind of the underdog compared to Led Zeppelin, even though they're both fabulous. And here's another one of my favorite things. So this is just kind of a jumble of all kinds of rock and roll stuff. So here's another one, the Beatles, George Harrison, the handwritten lyrics to All of Me. This is something I would love, just to have the handwritten lyrics, you know, of some songs, certain songs. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. All you detractors and haters, the games I play were about me and my sister. So I'd love those handwritten lyrics. But these ones, George Harrison, another iconic because he was in the Beatles. But it's not a Beatles song. It's a George Harrison song, All of Me. But still, damn good price, $20,000. And here's one of my favorite. Like I said before, Jim Morrison, The Doors, not one of my favorites. I don't think they, in my world, they're not as prolific as most people think they are. You know, read his books and stuff, watched the movie. Just, I was never that crazy about The Doors. Danny, now, The Doors, The Grateful Dead, those are her bands. She's the hippie. In a good way. She's like that beautiful blonde little hippie skipping through. Love it. Still with her long hair. But this one, I would love this one because you don't see this, and you don't get a lot of Jim Morrison photos coming out anymore. It just doesn't happen because, again, when someone passes away, you have a very limited space in which all this was happening. So this is another Morrison original vintage slide, $5,000. This one we don't see. I don't recall this one ever. So that's kind of really cool because there's a lot of things coming out in this auction that I haven't seen before. And that's not very often that we don't see. Oh, now let's look at this one. This is the Beatles, Simon Postuma and Mary Jackie Kroger. It's another poster promoting, I believe, probably Sweden. So look at the elaborateness, the artwork on this poster, just fucking amazing. Absolutely love this poster. It is stunning. Like I said, it's just, the colors are still bright as ever. They're just the woman, it's everything you want in one of those 60s rock posters. $600 for this one. As to the one next to it, or above it, the Fabulous Four Tops. This one, basic poster, straightforward. Colors are great, still bright as ever. $2,000. $2,000 for this one. So I think at the Fabulous Four Tops, there's probably a lot less of those posters as compared to a ton more different Beatles posters as we have seen. There's a lot of Beatles promotional items on this. There's a Beatles dartboard, Linda McCartney and Paul McCartney. Who gives a fuck? No one gave a shit once Linda McCartney came along. Let's see. Let's go to... Oh, now these are different. The Nike Grateful Dead shoes. I haven't seen these. Those are cool as fuck. So $1,200. I wouldn't wear them, but I love these. I did not know Grateful Dead made some shoes. Oh, and here's another Clash poster. Love this Clash poster. Very different, but still colorful. Still very much part of the Clash's album cover. And it is an album cover. Sorry, it's not a poster. But absolutely amazing. $5,500. As compared to what we see. And I think I'm kind of learning from this auction that people are wanting kind of more the Gen X, the Clash, things coming after Led Zeppelin, after The Who. We all still love our Led Zeppelin. We all still love The Who. We all still love the Beatles. But like this Japanese movie poster for Let's Make Love in London, that typical what you would want, what you would think, everybody wants to see as far as the colors, the styles, the trippiness, everything. Nope, $625 as compared to the Clash for the $5,500. So I think we're seeing a shift in rock and roll memorabilia, kind of moving from the old guard to the Gen X guard, because we just had a whole different ball game coming through, and there are a shit ton of, Rolling Stones and Beatles and The Who and just different memorabilia and guitars, drums. There's a shit ton of this stuff on the market. But then you have the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club's band poster for this one, advertising the new album. So, beautiful poster, probably sat in Tower Records or Sam's Records, one of the record stores from back in the day, maybe a mom and pop shop. A lot of them just kind of got tossed out. Some of the kids brought them home, put them on the posters on their walls, threw them away, out of the dorm rooms. $5,000. But right next to it, fucking awesome band that not a lot of people ever talk about or listen to, that I absolutely love, Joy Division. Look at this. Just a regular concert poster for Joy Division. They're not around anymore. They're absolutely fucking amazing. Probably not a lot of Joy Division memorabilia out on the market right now. $7,500. So I think we can see where that market is shifting from the $5,000 for the Beatles poster to the $7,500 for the Joy Division. My generation has the money to be buying this now. And I think some people are, like I said, I think there's a shift in the memories that are being sold. Our memories, yeah, of course we all saw The Who. Of course we all saw Robert Plant or Jimmy Page or Robert and Jimmy on the Walking to Clarksdale tour. We've all seen the Rolling Stones, but you can't see the Joy Division anymore. Can't see the Clash anymore. Definitely not seeing the Sex Pistols all the time anymore, even though they are recently playing again. I don't know if John's playing with them or not. Oh, now here's another one. This is a David Bowie handwritten letter. I'm not even sure who it's to. I can't really see. It's just David Bowie, care of Tony Vancomi in London. Dear John. Oh, it's a Dear John letter. What about it? But David Bowie, he's definitely someone that crossed the 70s into the 80s, into the 90s, the 2000s. David Bowie just kind of really came along with every different genre, different era. He seamlessly moved to the other. So he definitely still part of the baby boomers, but definitely part of my Gen X generation with, Let's Dance and that whole album and everything in the MTV era. David Bowie was one of the few that really moved from generation seamlessly. So this handwritten letter, $10,000. And there's a lot of Grateful Dead t-shirts here too for about $6.50 a t-shirt. I wonder what my t-shirt collection, ooh. Got rid of a bunch of stuff. Some fucking cleaning fit one day. So yeah. So let's see, there's more Andy Warhol cover art with this like Billy Squier set of 4 different cover album covers from our MTV generation, only $800. So I think that's a definite really good. And then here we are with the Beatles drinking glasses. Again, it's only $1,000 for these. I think it's very indicative of where the market is moving. We are moving more towards Black Flag, Joy Division, Metallica, stuff like that, Megadeth, Armored Saint, stuff, just a lot of memorabilia for bands from our generation, U2. Oh, Phil Collins. Oh. But see, this kind of tells you the relevance of different artists. Like I said, David Bowie. Everybody knows, the lightning bolt, stuff like that. So David Bowie, absolutely $10,000 for handwritten letter from him. But this one from Phil Collins. Still a big rock star in a lot of really great bands, but nobody cares about his mean, stupid ass. So right here, $3,000 for this. So nothing crazy big. Let's see. Linda McCartney, more Grateful Dead t-shirts. What else do we have here? Oh, there's a Bob Dylan Dark Brown series slide lithograph. So is this drawn blank? Okay, so I don't know if this is artwork by Bob Dylan. Only $3,500. And I say only $3,500 because, again, I think the market's shifting from the 70s rock icons to our generation of rock icons, because Metallica is the biggest band in the world. That's our generation. So, and this one, again, another kind of that generation that came from the 70s, but really more spoke to our generation. It was kind of the jump from the 70s of the heavy metal of like Led Zeppelin and The Who and Jimi Hendrix and, Phil Lynott and stuff, and Thin Lizzy, bands like that. The Sex Pistols. So this is the Sex Pistols, the Damned, and the Clash. These guys, these are the 3 biggest punk bands. I love all these bands, $8,000 for this. But that original Bob Dylan, only $3,500. So here we are, like I said, in the shift. Yeah, because I'm seeing a lot of Beatles memorabilia, and it's really not too expensive at all. There's also some more Nike shoes. Okay. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, a Patti Smith picture. Now, I don't see a lot of Patti Smith memorabilia. So, love this picture. This is not how I picture Patti Smith, because I picture more of the revolt and, the white shirt, the dark hair, the very strong stance in who she is. $1,000. So, some very different, more of a flower child look to Patti Smith. So, okay, and then here we have John Lennon alphabet lithograph bag 1 collection, $10,000. So another thing by I think John Lennon things will always have a certain value because, again, he's no longer with us. George Harrison, I don't think holds the same value because he doesn't have the same folklore that John Lennon does. So there's definitely going to be a difference in George Harrison things. Like this one, George Harrison, Keith West. Songs by George Harrison. This is his whole volume, $2,500. So definitely does not hold the same value as John Lennon, because I think there's more of a folklore around John Lennon of some fucking musical god, even though he was an abusive, selfish, spiteful little man. The lame dick, I hear. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So more Beatles stuff, $850. Oh, this really cool Polaroid sequence of Deborah Harry. Love it. Again, very indicative because Deborah Harry was on the cusp of that boomer generation into the Gen X generation of music, you know. So $6,000. Definitely Deborah Harry, always going to be relevant. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Jean-Pierre Ducatet's a photograph of John Lennon's lips. $4,500. I wouldn't pay $45 for his lips. I'm sorry. No, not my thing. Again, we've got more. Okay, so typical. Anybody who has the wood. Okay, this says Woodstock movie poster. So not sure what year the movie poster was released for this Woodstock, but that's going to be $1,900. And normally that probably would have gone for more, but again, shift in the market. Okay, then we have, this one. This is kind of obscure, which again kind of shows you how tired everybody is of the Beatles memorabilia. I think the market's completely inundated now. So Lynyrd Skynyrd concert poster, $2,000, going for a little more than the Beatles. Then we have this Rick James photograph. I love this. This is fucking quintessential Rick James. Probably one I haven't seen this one. $5,500. So this is why I love the auctions, that I peruse the music auctions, because you never know what you can find. You never know what's going to pop up. You never know how the market is going to shift, what people have hiding in their boxes or their little storage closets right here. Because, like I said, I wonder how much, like, my memorabilia of backstage passes is not only worth, but how much it would shift a market. Because it very well could. And then, let's see. So this is... Oh, okay. Hold on. So I'm going to look at this Paul McCartney large yellow face lithograph. So this, I don't know if this is something Paul did as an artwork at some point. I have to do more research into this. $7,500, which artwork from a musician can, as we know from previous episodes, can really be more than their memorabilia sometimes, because it's one of a kind. This is not something that thousands of people are going to end up finding in their basement, So, ooh, why do we have these Nikes in here? I don't know. I'm not even going to put them up. So let's look for something a little more. Okay, the Yardbirds autographs. So these are all the Yardbirds autographs. Let me see. I can't even see. It doesn't look like Jimmy Page is on here. Huh. So only $1,200. Because I think the Yardbirds are kind of, again, shifting back to that generation. Like, there's a whole new collectible market coming to the scene, and it's going to be starting with punk and going into the metal world, into the glam rock. These are going to be our next hot items in the musical world of auctions. And then we're going to go ahead and leave it with this. Like I said, I'll put the the link down in the description, because there's a lot of really good stuff from Ramones, David Byrne, and CBGBs. I love this poster right here, or this picture, because we all know that CBGBs was such a pivotal place for rock and roll history. So, but I was kind of looking at this Gianni Versace party tuxedo shirt owned by Elton John. Still alive, still relevant. Another one like David Bowie, Elton John went to so many different genres and eras of music. So really love this. Only $1,950. So, but like I said, this David Byrne at CBGB's, $1,000. What a pivotal fucking moment in musical history. Then we have Andy Summers. I'll be watching you inside the police. So these are the police. Again, this is part of our genre. Who didn't have synchronicity? Who did not love wrapped around your finger video on MTV? You know, these are the new icons of rock and roll. I love it. So Andy Summers from the Police. This is only $1,000, but still something that's affordable. That's a tangible part of our rock and roll experience. So let's see. Let me find another one from we're going to end it with one from our generation. If I can find one, I'm finding a lot of really cool pictures. Grateful Dead. What's with all the Nike fucking air in here? Grateful Dead. Oh, more Black Flag stuff. So, so here's one you almost never hear. Okay, so I'm going to leave it with these two. So this one is a Jimi Hendrix run right here. This Seville Theater, again, this is a signed concert program. We saw a couple earlier with that beautiful artwork. So this is the inside. We don't get very many Jimi Hendrix signatures anymore. $15,000. But the one I'm going to end it with, I'm so glad punk rock is finally like taking its place among rock and roll history in a way that shoves the Beatles to the side. No offense, but the Subhumans, after Raymond Pettibon, the Subhumans Punk Flyer. Oh my God. I cannot believe this. The Subhumans. That's a band a lot of people may not even know who they are. This is a band that I saw at the Speedway Cafe. Like, this was Black Flag, Danzig, all these crazy, Gwar, all these off the wall, kind of skater punk, American punk bands played there that I just fucking loved. And it's so cool to see all this stuff coming to fruition. That our memories are finally worth something. So there you go, guys. Go Subhuman. Tell me if you know who they are down in that description, you guys. Because like I said, tons of cool stuff. I will put the link. Like I said, some pretty affordable stuff. I mean, I might look at a few things in this auction. Who knows? But I have my own personal rock and roll memorabilia collection. So there you guys go. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your favorite piece is. Tell me how you guys like it. I love doing these auctions. It's so cool because, like you said, it combines my love of music, my love of art history, my passion for having wanted to work at Sotheby's when I finished my college degree that I never finished. So you guys know how much I love it, and I love that you guys are enjoying it with me, so thank you. And thank you to everybody who made it to the end of the episode. You guys rock. I just can never tell you all the love for the family here. You guys are fucking amazing. I'm so lucky to know every single one of you, whether we've had a conversation, whether you've commented, whether you're just hanging out silently and enjoying it. I fucking love you guys. So thank you so much for all the love, all the support. You guys rock. And I will see you here next time. Oh, don't forget to hit that subscribe if you're just haunting the channel. Don't forget to become a member. Hit the share button and hit my bells. We'll see you on cocktails. That probably wasn't so attractive. Cheers, big ears.